She mocked me at my parents' funeral. Not quietly, not accidentally. She waited until people were close enough to hear. Standing beside the casket, dressed in black like the rest of us, she leaned in and said, loud enough to sting, "Don't cry too hard. You barely matter to them anyway." A few heads turned. Someone cleared their throat. No one corrected her. This was my older sister, the favorite, the one who always spoke like the house belonged to her voice alone. She continued, almost smiling, "At least now you don't have to pretend anymore. Hey, if you enjoy my content, please subscribe and hit the bell. Your support means everything and helps me keep creating. Thank you so much." I said nothing. I folded my hands and stared at the flowers. Grief does strange things. It makes you small when you shouldn't be. After the service, she played hostess, hugged relatives, accepted condolences like tips. When someone asked about the will, she laughed. "Oh, that's already sorted," she said, glancing at me. "Some people get memories. Some people get responsibilities." Then she walked away. I stayed until the crowd thinned, until the chairs scraped back, until the silence returned. That was when a man in a dark suit approached me. He didn't introduce himself at first, just handed me a card. "Your parents asked me to wait until after today," he said calmly. They were very specific. My hands trembled. I hadn't expected anything. Not after years of being overlooked. Not after how they'd let her speak to me. "I'm their attorney," he added, "and there's something you need to hear, preferably somewhere private." We sat in a small side room. No flowers, no family, just a table and the hum of bad lighting. He opened a folder thick with documents. "Your sister believes she understands the estate," he said. "She doesn't." I swallowed. "She said it was settled." He nodded once. "It is, just not the way she thinks." Then he looked me straight in the eye and said, "What your parents did was intentional, and it's going to shock her." That was the moment my grief shifted. Something had been left unsaid all these years, and it was finally about to be spoken. The lawyer didn't rush. That's what scared me most. He adjusted the folder, as if what he was about to say deserved space to land. "Your parents rewrote their estate plan 3 years ago," he began. "Not quietly, not impulsively. They came to me together, multiple times." I frowned. 3 years ago was when my sister moved back home after her third failed business. When she started handling things. Bills, appointments, conversations that somehow never included me. They were very aware of how things looked. He continued. They knew who people thought the favorite was. They knew who spoke the loudest. He slid a document toward me, but didn't let go yet. They also knew who showed up when no one was watching. My throat tightened. I remembered late-night pharmacy runs. Sitting in the car while Mom slept during chemo because she didn't want to be alone. Dad's hands shaking when he asked me to read bank letters because the numbers blurred together for him. My sister had been busy then, too important, too stressed. She controlled the narrative. I said quietly. The lawyer nodded. She tried to control the outcome too. He finally released the paper. It wasn't a will. It was a trust summary. My name was everywhere. Primary beneficiary. Executor, sole decision-maker for the estate's assets. I stared at it, convinced I was misreading. "What about her?" I asked. "She inherits," he said, "exactly what your parents intended." I waited. He turned another page. A fixed monthly stipend, strictly capped. No access to property. No authority over accounts. No ability to sell, borrow against, or redirect a single asset. And this clause, he tapped the margin. If she attempts to contest, intimidate, or publicly misrepresent the estate structure, her stipend is suspended pending review. I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. They knew she'd push, he said. So they planned for it. My hands shook now, not from grief, but from clarity. Why didn't they tell me? I asked. They wanted you to grieve without pressure, he replied. They didn't want this to turn into a spectacle before today. I thought of her words by the casket. Don't cry too hard. You barely mattered. She thinks she won, I said. Yes, he replied calmly. That's why this works. I left the room in a fog. In the hallway, my sister was laughing with an aunt, already planning who would get which painting. She saw me and raised an eyebrow. Well, she asked, did he bore you with paperwork? I met her eyes. For the first time in my life, I didn't shrink. No, I said. He clarified things. She smirked. Good. Saves us both time. She leaned closer, voice low. I'll let you keep a few sentimental things. I'm not cruel. I almost laughed. Do whatever you think you need to do. I said. That threw her off. Just a fraction. Over the next week, the calls started. Relatives asking questions she couldn't answer. Banks requesting signatures she didn't have authority to give. Real estate agents insisting on speaking to me. Her tone shifted, from smug to sharp, from sharp to frantic. She cornered me one evening outside my parents' house. What did you tell them? She demanded. Why are people calling you? I didn't tell anyone anything, I replied. They're just following instructions. Her eyes narrowed. Instructions from who? I paused, then answered truthfully. From Mom and Dad. Her face drained of color. That's not possible, she snapped. They trusted me. They loved us both, I said, but they trusted differently. She laughed too loud. You think you're in charge now? I didn't answer, because the truth was already working its way through her life, and she was about to hear it officially. The official meeting happened on a Tuesday morning. My sister arrived late, sunglasses on, confidence forced so hard it creaked. She walked in like someone who still believed the room belonged to her. It didn't. The lawyer didn't look up when she sat down. Before we begin, he said, calm and precise, I need to confirm that you've received the trust documents. She crossed her arms. I've been busy. Just tell me what I need to sign, so we can move on. He finally looked at her. There's nothing for you to sign. Silence. What? She said, laughing once. That's not funny. It wasn't meant to be, he replied. Your parents appointed your sibling as executor and sole controller of the estate. Her head snapped toward me. That's not true. I met her gaze. Steady. No apology. No fear. He continued. Your role is limited to the stipend outlined here. Any attempt to interfere, threaten, or misrepresent the estate triggers an automatic freeze. She stood up so fast her chair scraped the floor. You manipulated them, she hissed at me. You always did this. Quiet. Sneaky. I shook my head. I just stayed. The lawyer slid one final page forward. And this, he said, is a letter they asked me to read only if this moment came. He read it slowly. Their words. Their handwriting scanned into ink. They thanked her for her ambition. They acknowledged her strength. Then they wrote why they chose me. Because I showed up when it was inconvenient. Because I never asked to be seen. Because love isn't loud. Her mouth opened, closed. For the first time, there was nothing she could argue against. She left without another word. No dramatic exit. No last insult. Just the sound of heels retreating down a hallway that no longer echoed her name. Later that evening, I stood alone in my parents' house. The light slanted across the floor, just like it used to. I didn't feel victorious. I felt finished. I locked the door behind me. Some people mistake silence for weakness.